name's Anita. Today I'm going to present my research proposal on water supply management, the main rules about it. And I will talk about three parts. The first part is the introduction part. The second part is the literature review part. The third part is the research methods part. And there is an 18th century Scottish proverb: "We will never know the worth of water until the well goes dry." Water is the single most important substances on earth. Without water for a few days, people cannot survive. And when we talked about the primary rules of water supply management, there are two main rules. The first one is the rights-based rules. The second one is the market-based rules. And the right-based rules means that water belongs to all human beings, and anyone can get access to water when they need some water to drink. And the market-based rules means that people need to pay for the water to drink. And the purpose of this proposed research paper is to find out the most beneficial primary rule for water management. And then I'll talk briefly about how the water was used in the United States in 2000 in order to let you know the importance of the water, and people can use water to do plenty of things. Just let's see this statistics. Around 48% of all the water used in the United States in 2000 was for the generation of electricity, and 34% was used for agriculture, and the rest of the water used was for the municipality and industries. And my proposed research question is that in order to benefit human beings largely, should the water supply management based on right or market? Okay, let's move to our literature review part. The first part I will talk about is the rights-based rule, and the author Stoudemire and Salzman talked about this rights-based rules in their articles. The first one, Stoudemire, this author used an early Colorado Territorial Supreme Court opinion. And before I explain it, I will talk about some other facts. In the United States, from the west to the east, the water is becoming less and less. That means the environment, the weather is drier and drier. What's more, the fast urbanization of the west states, and as well as the growing population in the west, big cities such as Los Angeles, Denver, Phoenix, all these things increase the amount of water. But the west has much less water. So and there is also basic rules about water, which is only the landowners of the water or their land are near the water can get access to the water. But there is an adjustment, which is anyone can get access to water when they are in need of water to drink. So here comes the Colorado Territorial Supreme Court opinion. In this court opinion, even just as what I said, even though the landowners have the absolute dominion on their properties, anyone who needs water to survive can get access to the water which belongs to others. I think this is a proper and wise change of the basic water regulations, which only allow the landowners to get access to the water. And I think this is also a good distribution of water. It's fair to all the people, since maybe under several circumstances, the landowners have plenty of water and they don't need all of them. But meanwhile, there are also many other people who are in need of water for drink, and it's a fair distribution. And the second, I will talk about Salzman. Salzman, in his article, he used four examples to illustrate the rights-based rule of water supply management. First, the traditional Jewish law and the traditional Islamic water law. These two laws share the same idea that water is a gift from the God, and people need to share the water with each other, and priority is given for drinking. And the second part is Australia and African and India. In these areas, in these countries, it's very dry, and those areas lack of access to water. So there is a rules which is called always ask in these areas about the water supply management. The always ask means that when someone is in need of drinking water, he can ask for the permission to get access to any water resources. And the second part, I'll talk about the market-based rules. In this part, author Anne Salzman talks about it. In Anne's article, she talked about the bottled water, and she said that the bottled water is a product of the market-based drinking water supply. Since everyone knows that bottled water, we need to pay for a bottle of water. We can't just directly grab a bottle of water for drink. And also think that drinking water, which is manufactured and delivered by laborers, should be paid if people want to drink it. So this is a part of the market-based drinking water supply management. And Salzman, I want to mention that Salzman's article is really long, and he talked both the rights-based and the market-based rules for the water supply management. So in this part, he used two examples. The first example is the ancient Rome. The second example is the New York City. And he used these two examples to illustrate how market-based rules for water supply management works. In the ancient Rome, there is a famous tax which is called VID00005. This tax is charged to the users who can get access to the country's main pump of the water supply system. Since why the emperor tax have authorized such tax is that since there is a large water supply system in the ancient Rome's, and the government needs plenty of funds for the operation of such water supply system. So this is a good way for the function of the water supply system in Rome. And the second one is the New York City. And although there's no such VID00005 tax in New York City, but people still need to pay for the maintenance of the wells, of the storage of the water. And there are also private water vendors underpin much of New York City's water supply through the whole 19th century. And I will talk about the gap. None of those articles that I have read did completely or successfully explain the combination of rights-based and market-based water supply management. Salzman's article talked something about the hybrid of rights-based and market-based water supply management, but I don't think it's enough. And I also find out either the rights-based rules or the market-based rules. I don't think none of them are singly correct. Are singly correct. Just I want to say I think a combination of the rights-based and market-based rules would be much beneficial rules. So this is what I'm going to learn. I'm going to study in my proposed research paper, and I'll talk about the research methods. In my proposed research, I only use the qualitative methodology, and there are two. The first one is the analysis and comparison, and the second one is the survey. I will explain briefly that why I only use qualitative, since I think qualitative it's due to the limitation of the law academic field, the water law academic field. It's real hard and impossible to use a quantitative methodology to have such research paper, since what I need is to analyze the history and the results of such rules applications. So as a result of that, the analysis and comparison is the major methods, and it's the major and the most significant methods. And in these methods, what I'm going to do is to read and analysis and compare typical cases, and then to figure out the most beneficial rules for water supply management. And I also want to mention that the cases should come from academic articles, academic journals, papers, and law reviews. To now, and in different areas, in different areas and in different countries. The second one is the survey. Why I use this survey is since the water law is a public thing, I also want to absorb ideas from the public. I want to know what the public think about water supply, about some other general information about the water. And the public may be a teacher, and an engineer, writer, or workers. I think most of them are not experts, but it's still important to take their opinions about water and water supply into account when do such a research. And I will publish these survey on Twitter and Facebook. The reason is that I hope more people, there will be a variety of the public. People from different cultures, from different countries can can participate in such a survey. And let's see just briefly the main questions in my research paper. The first one is in my survey. The first one is, do you think it's good for citizens to be charged for using water from faucets? I think it's a fact-based question. I just want to know people's opinion about the tap water and how they think the tap water would be. And the second one is just whether the water belongs to all human beings, just to ask the public about their opinions about the right-based rules. And the eighth is the water coming out from the faucet is clean enough, to ask about the public's idea about this. And the last one is the commodity-based, whether water should be treated as a commodity for people. Okay, and here's the references. And thank you.
When you're looking at cases, you said you will not look at very general cases, but you're going to look at ones that are typical. Do you have any, how will you decide what cases out of all of history are typical? Do you have any ideas on how you will eliminate?
From the ancient times, there are the famous four ancient emperor. Since I think it depends on the history. When we learn the history, we are not learn every details of the history of the world. We are just referring to some main and famous and typical ancient emperors, and I want to focus on those emperors and read and analyze their rules for water supply management. Just, you know what I mean, just refers to some famous main countries. Yeah. And also for, when we talk about Africa, we can refer to some main and famous countries. Since they have, I think they have similar religions, and they have similar cultures, I can just refer to the main countries in Africa.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think there's any limitations to choosing Twitter and Facebook for your survey?
Limitation?
I mean, there's definitely benefits. You can reach a wide variety of people, but do you think there's any?
There may be some useless information, but since I think it's on the website, it's worldwide, it can promise a variety of the participants.
prompted you to be interested in this topic? Why are you interested in this topic?
What's the topic?
Why are you interested in water management systems?
Since when I read articles, I can't help to be interested in finding the answer to the question that which is proper, the right-based rules or the market-based rules or some others. And after reading it, I read it, I found out maybe a combination, a hybrid, and the called subsidization across. You know what I mean? I just found it interesting after you looked into it.
When I told you, just to follow Cheryl's question, when I said pick a subject in your field that's interesting to you, find 3 articles, why did you choose water? Why was that interesting?
Since I'm going to study for the environmental law, and water law, I think, is an important part of such environmental law. And I just refers to some articles, and after I just briefly read it, I found this interesting, and I want to know the answers.